Hello and welcome to today's podcast. Today I have Rich Cadden with me. I've known Rich for a lot of years now. Haven't caught up with him for a while, so this might not last 20 minutes, but we'll do our best. But Rich has got loads to share. He's been in the industry longer than I have. And without me spending time introducing Rich and talking about what I know, I think it's probably best if I just pass you over to Rich and let him introduce himself and talk to us a little about Rich, a little bit about why you got into the industry in the first place, and what makes you tick. So, Rich, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you again, Carl. It's been a long time. Yeah, so quick introduction. My name is Rich Cadden. I own Chalk Day Academy, which is a martial arts gym in York. I'm a former 2 times world champion in Thai boxing. Used to go out and live over in Thailand and stay out there for quite a while. Had quite a long career. Then in 2008. I got made redundant from the railway. Started personal training and getting involved in personal development. And then I set up Chalk Day Academy in 2011, and we've been running ever since.
I remember I used to be the manager of the Fitness First in York, and you had a couple of classes a week. I think you did a couple of classes at Bannatynes as well, and that's you started by building yourself a small audience. I remember you as a really passionate trainer, someone that was lived and breathed your sport, and I always wondered sort of where you were going to take that. I remember that that you worked on the railways, and I always thought that wasn't you. So what was it? Was it the nudge that you needed maybe, or did you have plans before that to sort of exit that railway role?
I mean, yeah, it was. I was always had an engineering mindset. I always had a scientific mindset. So kind of taking this scientific attitude, turning Thai boxing, this art form into a process, and then being able to pass that message on. That's what I enjoy doing. So yeah, I set up Chalk D in 2005, and we ran out of Fitness First. And then it, like I say, it's kind of grown from there. While I was having some kind of fallouts at the railway towards the back end of my railway career, I was put through a bit of a disciplinary, and my manager says, everybody knows you as Rich the Thai boxer, not Rich the engineer. And I was like, well, okay, well, how can I reinforce my name and reputation as Rich the engineer? I'm gonna have to do a hell of a lot, because at that time I'd already won 2 world titles in Thai boxing. Like that was kind of like my headline. So like you say, it was kind of like a calling in a way, in the fact that that's what makes my heart pump. That's what gets me out of bed on a morning. I'd be out doing my road work and cardio work before I went to work. I'd be getting up at 5 o'clock on a morning so that I could run for an hour before I got home, have some breakfast, have a shower, and get down to work, starting work at 7. I'd finish work at 4. I'd get home, I'd dump my work bag, pick up my training bag, and I'd be over in Leeds for 5. And then I'd be training 5 till 8:30, 9 o'clock pretty much every night. Come home, have some tea, straight to bed. Same again the next day. That's basically how I spent my 20s. So it was very, very intensive. I was basically living as a full-time fighter and living as a full-time engineer and a full-time student all at the same time. So yeah, talk about burning a candle at both ends.
Well, mate, what was the peak, I suppose, of your of Chop V when and obviously we're going to talk about what's happened over the last sort of 13 months or so. But at its peak, how did you get that sort of? How did you manage that? Because I know that you're always very very hands on, and often trainers and we still do. We sell time, so ultimately you eventually when you get successful, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? That you end up working a lot of hours. Was there a way that you sort of managed managed your time when you started to open up your when you got your gym rocking, so to speak, or were you always working that kind of volume of hours?
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I still consider myself retired, even though I'm up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm getting in from work at 9-10 o'clock at night. I retired from the railway when I was 35. Now I'm following my passion. It's not really about the money. It's about following my dreams and following what makes my heart sing. So obviously there's things where I'm doing personal training and stuff like that. But doing the classes and creating an environment where people have got freedom to train and do their own thing and have it as a self-motivated thing like I had. It's just having, like I say, having the space. One of the things that I learned over in Thailand is that there was some stadium champions that were taught with no gym. Literally, they had a punch bag hanging from a tree, and then it was the knowledge of the trainers that were around them. So they didn't even have a building. They had a punch bag, and that was it. So it's, like I say, it's following passion, and it's having the self-motivation to go out there and chase your dreams and trust the teamwork and guidance that you've got around you.
Quite useful. And we'll come back to that, because I think that story there is probably certainly been really useful when you're starting to think about maybe this last 13 months and how your industry has probably been affected slightly more negatively than a typical gym industry, because face-to-face contact sports like yours will probably be the last to be okayed, so to speak. So having how you what we'll talk about it, I'm sure later on, how you managed to adapt over the last 13 months would have been that story might have been really useful. So look, okay, well let's get into that, Richard. Obviously the last 13 months have been a lot of a struggle for a lot of us. You had a really successful business. You had a business that you were super passionate about, and then all this has happened. So how have you navigated over the last sort of 13 months?
Well, it's been tough. Like I've been saying, it's that I've been using the term the Corona coaster. There's so many kind of ups and downs. I've had a few ups with the connections that I've had. I've been over to UFC Fight Island and stuff like that, which has basically paid for the gym and kept the doors open. But on the other side, there's been a lot of lows with it as well. So the horrible side of it was like right at the start, we had quite a few frontline workers at the NHS coming in, training with us, working with us, and like these three or four guys like came in. You could see that they were pretty low, and obviously having my style of coaching is like mind and body. So I do a lot of mental performance work. So you build up that sensory acuity. You build up that sense of when something's wrong. So I spoke to the guys, and they were saying that they'd had a briefing about this new disease that was coming out, and to get your affairs in order, make sure your wills are up to date and everything. Because if you look around this meeting, 50% of the people aren't going to be here next year.
When was that? How early on was that?
So this was probably late February time.
Okay, so like a lot of us, you got maybe a bit of a heads up, but nobody really believed it, did they?
No. Up until like me and Joe were just about to go away on a holiday, and yeah, we got all the way to Puerto Rico, and then all of a sudden we landed there, and they said that the cruise was cancelled, and we got sent back. So we literally had a day in Puerto Rico before getting kicked back, and then that's when all the full lockdown was happening, and alarm bells were ringing. It was came back to a bit of a shit storm, to be fair. Not pleasant at all. And given this information, literally within 48 hours, I had 4 school contracts, long-term school contracts cancelled. My gym closed down, and each and every source of income slashed. It was panic stations.
Because to be fair, Rich, sorry to interrupt, but in terms of revenue streams, you had quite a few different things going on. You know, you were never that person that had that one revenue stream that you relied on. You had you were doing commentating for Sky. You know, there was lots of different things that you were doing. But I imagine all that stopped.
Pretty much all of it. The only one that's been able to continue is my work with the UFC. So I do the commissioning work for the UFC, which looks after fighter safety. We look at the transition between kind of live TV and following safety protocols. So making sure that they're wearing all the right gear and drug testing and making sure their hands are up to correctly and all the safety protocols and that kind of thing. Yeah. So that was the work that Dana and all the guys at UFC have been doing. Has been absolutely amazing. They've had that never say die attitude, and they made stuff happen. Literally taking over Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. We had quarantine areas. We was taken through. We had quarantine at Heathrow. We had police escorts from Abu Dhabi airport through to an airlock system where we were dropped off at security onto Yas Island. The airlock system going through the tunnel. Then when we got to the other side of Yas Island, through to the other side of the tunnel, we were picked up by security there and escorted to the hotels. And yeah, like the level of security and protection that we had there was absolutely amazing. Granted, we had to go through testing before and after every show. I mean, yeah, like the attention to detail was amazing.
So lucky that you had that going on. So apart from that, though, to go back to your academy, your business in the UK, what did you do with your members? Because we all, so in lockdown we didn't know how long it was going to last. We all thought it was going to last maybe, I don't know, 6 weeks or whatever. It ended up lasting a lot longer than that, and then we came out and we pretty much go back in again. So how did you, at what point did you start to think about, I'm gonna have to work out a way to adapt this business now?
Well, like I said, I went through some dark times. Like initially starting off, I had 50% of my membership just cancelled straight off the bat.
Right.
That put us in a very difficult situation, and it was literally heartbreaking every time. Every time we was getting the email pinging through, cancellation. It was like, what we're gonna do? Now I'm self-employed. The gym is under, like, directly linked to my name. I've got a young family. I've got a wife and 2 kids. And that's what everything is kind of based on. The rental agreement that I had that I've got on the gym at the time was around £80,000. And I was thinking, well, if all these memberships keep on pinging off, I'm going to be in a very bad situation. I'm going to have literally the landlord could come chasing after my house, and make us homeless. It's a very sinister situation. So I was thinking, well, where the hell am I going to get £80,000 from in these very, very, very tight times? Like no one's going to invest in a gym at this point. And yeah, like it affected my mental health and stuff like that. To the point where I wasn't really thinking rationally. I wasn't thinking solidly. But it was something that I believed in. It's my heart, it's my passion, it's everything that I'm striving for. And I have to admit, I started thinking I had some silly thoughts, to the point where I was thinking about cashing in life insurance. I had £80,000 worth of potential debt. I had £100,000 of life insurance. Well, I could clear the debt, leave that. Like with a samurai mindset, I was thinking, well, it's dying an honourable death and all this business. Like it's almost like this is my purpose, and I'm willing to, in the Spartan sense of the word, die on my sword. As they used to say in Spartan times, come back with your shield or on it. Used to use the shields as stretchers. And it was around these times where I was thinking, well, looking around for extra jobs and things like that I could use to support my gym and pay the rent and pay for the building. I had a look on LinkedIn, and one of my old personal training clients, who's a business coach, put an offer out there on LinkedIn, and says, if anyone wants any business coaching, I'm happy to help. I jumped on it. He turned around and says, Rich, we've got a strong friendship, and we've known each other for a lot of years. I'm happy to give my time for nothing. It's a friend thing. And when I spoke through it, he came up with some words of wisdom, that we don't live in medieval Japan. This isn't a samurai thing. It's a business thing. Stop being so fucking emotional. And it was like, good point, well made. So he says, okay, look at the facts of it. Have you still got membership? Yes. Are there government grants? Yes. Is there other avenues of income that you can generate? Yes. Do you have a good reputation? Yes. Okay. So what's stopping you? Nothing. So he says, right, let's have a look at how we're going to take this forward. So we'll use Thai boxing. Your speciality is Thai boxing. Let's look at it in a Thai boxing sense. So you've done all the preparation, you've trained really hard, you've gone into your fight. You come out first round, guard up, and all of a sudden, bosh, you get hit with a big shot that you didn't expect. What do? Well, for a lot of people, they'd lay down, that's it, game over, quit. But I'm a champion. I've got a different attitude. I've got a different, there's different blood running through these veins. So says, what do? Get up. Get the hell up. Get off the canvas. Pick yourself up. Get your guard up. Go back to basics. Do the things that are safe. Do the things that you know you can do well. So from a Thai boxing perspective, work behind your jab, work behind your push kick, control the pace of the fight, and don't get caught with these silly shots again. So we went back to basics. From a business perspective, we went back to basics, and we went back to doing online classes. I know a lot of personal trainers went through the online classes route, but from a combat sport perspective, it's kind of difficult because there's no contact.
Yeah,
it almost turns into one of these like no touch martial art, like kata forms and stuff like that. Well, that's not what people get involved in Thai boxing for. People get involved in Thai boxing because they like hitting things. So how can we take it this way? So we kind of repackaged the some of the ideas around it and says, right, okay, this is a perfect time to program yourself and make it a neuromuscular training as opposed to an impact training. So we're learning reactions, we're learning movement patterns, learning how to block and assess and work on individual balance without having to pressure test it in this kind of fight or flight mode. And to be fair, looking back now, all those guys that did the online classes and stuck with the training, they're coming out of they're coming out of this lockdown double the fighter that they were before. Mm-hmm. Because they've been able to back off that intensity. So back on track now. We're back in the game. We've built our confidence back up, doing our basics well, and we've had an opportunity to remodel the gym a little bit, increase the mat space, and after lockdown 1, we realized that people were getting into the habit of not using the changing rooms. So we changed the changing rooms, and we knocked those down, and we've made that into our new kind of strength and conditioning area. There's a new model to some of the personal training stuff that we're doing, and we've got a few new projects that are happening. So it's we're actually coming out of these lockdown periods a lot stronger, a lot more diverse, a lot more depth, and we've got some really exciting projects that are happening. Certainly with the from the personal training side of things, and we're bringing in a new model now. This new model I've branded it York Performance Institute. York Performance Institute focuses on strength and conditioning, nutrition, and mental health. So alongside the mental performance work, we've got myself. I'm a qualified master in hypnotherapy, master NLP practitioner, as well as all the work that I did at London 2012, Rio 2016, working with the Olympians then in mental performance. There's a couple of other coaches that are involved as well. We've got personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, nutritionists. So this new branch of Chuck D as we're going forward is really leveraging the network and the friendship, the loyalty that I've got around me, and this is one of the things that's kind of moving us forwards now, as we come out of this third lockdown, itching to like the blue touch paper on April the 12th, and get back to business.
Mate, brilliant. No, it's really good to hear how and I could just see the smile on your face when you started to talk about how you've started to make things work again. Yeah. What's the best advice you offer a new trainer now, knowing what you know now?
Your passion will always show through. So I think we talked about this just before we went live. There's that kind of fake it till you make it type thing, and there's a time and a place for academic knowledge and accreditation and stuff like that. But I think one of the things that a lot of personal trainers can see now is that it's relatively easy to get a personal training qualification. You can sit in these, do these weekend courses. You can do these courses online. It's a very accessible business to get involved in, but that's your entry. That's your entry fee. It's not the end goal. What we have to realize is that people that are involved in this thing with personal health and development and that kind of thing show that what they're looking at is this individual development, that we've got a starting point, and once we get past that starting point, then it's like, what's my next level of expertise? So I would say that it's always important to find a specialty, find your niche, because niche doesn't always necessarily mean smaller markets. It just means that you've got your market and you know your lane. Yeah. So as the saying goes, like, stay in your lane. Like with the development stuff that we've got at York Performance Institute, I'm not looking to do all these extra things. It's the fact that I've been in the business for such a long time now that I've built a lot of relationships, and I can feed work to these experienced people, these people that I believe in, my friends and colleagues that I believe in, that have cut their teeth, they've done their work, and they've got this specialist skills.
Mate, again, really useful. What we were talking about was that it takes apparently 10,000 hours to become an expert, which if you don't find your niche, it's going to be really difficult to amass 10,000 hours of various different, the old sort of jack of all trades. You'd never become an expert because you wouldn't have the time to invest in all those different areas. So, more important than ever now, I suppose, is niche. And this way of looking at personal training is definitely new, and it's certainly something that's come up over the last few years of really becoming a specialist in a particular field. Because in the past we wanted to help everybody, but you're right. I think it makes so much sense to find something that you're passionate about, find something that you can be extremely good at, and then effectively you become the specialist in that field, and then people just naturally come to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, useful, mate. Useful. Look, again, appreciate your time today, mate. I'm going to ask you one final question, if that's okay.
Yep.
And literally, is there any particular tech that you've come across recently, or maybe not so recently, something that you either can't live without, or something that you'd absolutely recommend to others?
One, my round timer. Yeah, I couldn't do without my round timer. It's my go-to. Obviously, of a lockdown and stuff like that, a lot of my fighters have turned into professional runners, and they're logging loads of miles on the Strava, and doing like Strava challenges and things like that. As far as tech goes, again, it's immersion into your speciality and your niches. I think like we were saying, a lot of the having a genuine interest and a genuine pursuit for knowledge is key. And this is where you can fall into these YouTube wormholes and dial in and increase your knowledge in that perspective. I'd watch a podcast, find out the name of the guy on the podcast. I'll be researching and then go onto Amazon, see if they've got any books that are coming out, and then go onto Spotify and see if there's anything else on there. Like I say, it's just this kind of information knowledge and this information loop where, yeah, we've all got dead time when maybe we're traveling to work, or we're going out, or you're doing your steady state cardio and you're out there on your bike or whatever. Like making full use of your time to find that balance between knowledge and then how you're going to actually apply it.
I lied. One last question. A book, because that's the point you're making there is that you should always continue to learn. I also know that you're an avid reader, if that's even a thing. So, but what's your favourite book, and what would you recommend to a new trainer now, just getting started?
Good question. Like I say, when you're not knocking off like a book a month or a couple of books a month, you start building up a vast knowledge and a vast library of skills and information. And one of the things that my old judo coach used to tell me is that it's like everyone's holding a bouquet of flowers, and the aim of the game now is to go out and take a flower off this person, a flower off this person, a flower off this person, until you build up your own bouquet of flowers. Now, there's lots of gems of information that you'll glean from each one of these books. So it's very hard to identify one as a kind of gospel truth. This is the kind of go-to guy, and this and the other. Like, you got to go out there and you've got to sample. You've got to see what works for you as an individual, because like from a personal development perspective, one of the things that I've found from personal development is that like in the NLP therapy world, there's a lot of empathetic and sympathetic soft speaking coaches that will try and nurture you and help you out in the softest, most gentlest way. And then you get the Tony Robbins that gets you up and you're going out and doing star jumps and you got to bring that energy, which is very, very vibrant, very Americanized, almost evangelical in his approach. And then you get the Jocko Willink who's saying, get there, get the work done, and go hard, go home, and dropping in with all the like Navy SEAL speak. They're all essentially coming with the same trait. It's just how that personality and how those communication models then come across. So I wouldn't say that there's one kind of go-to. Mm-hmm. You have to find out what your own voice is so that you can be the original. So if I tried to be the next Tony Robbins, I'm gonna be a Wish version of Tony Robbins. I'm going to be an Aldi version of Tony Robbins. I'm not going to be the real Tony Robbins. Yeah. And people will see through that falseness. People will see through that facade. You have to be the original you. And that's where you're going to feel the most confident. That's where you're going to feel the most comfortable. And that's how you're going to then attract the right people, the right clientele, and the right people that you want to work with.
Rich, I think that's a great place to end. Mate, again, really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great to catch up, and so we'll have to not leave it 5 years next time.
No, tell me about it. Cheers, buddy.